Oh yeah, I'm recording. That's funny. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to our first episode of one of our new podcasts here called Marvel Annotated, where we talk about all things Marvel comics, movie, video games. If it's Marvel entertainment based, it's something that we'll talk about. So today we have four topics, and I am flying solo, which hopefully isn't going to be super terrible. But we have topic number one, which is basically a review roundup on the Avengers video game, which recently came out. And now that reviews are trickling out for it, we have some stuff to go over. Topic number two, in as respectful a way as possible, we're going to talk about the Black Panther franchise and some potential next steps based on some rumors that have been circling around about the future of that franchise. Topic number three, we're going to talk about some potential updates, some confirmed, some technically still rumors until otherwise stated by Marvel or Disney. But basically, Disney Plus series for Miss Marvel has some updates. And then topic number four, more on the Sony side of Marvel things. It looks like their Spider-Verse is growing ever so slowly with another edition of the Silk series, which will be really interesting. And when I say growing ever so slowly, I don't mean that as like a slight to them. I mean like it's just one more thing they're adding on. All right, everybody. So let's get into the last topic here. And sorry if this kind of audio wise and video wise sounds a bit disjointed. My whole thing like shut down right after I finished the third segment. So getting into topic number four, Sony is expanding their Spider-Verse by adding the character of Silk to their pantheon of characters that are being explored. Lauren Moon will write the series, which I think makes a lot of sense because she has a lot of work on Freeform series, which it looks like they're going to probably have the same demographic as in targeting, Silk 4. And Phil Lord, Chris Miller, Amy Pascal are all set to produce, which makes sense because they basically have been producing all of the Sony Spider-Man related character productions, both TV and film. So not a surprise there by any means. Now, getting into the character of Silk really quick, for those that aren't very familiar, Silk was a character introduced in 2014 during the original Sin event. And what original Sin was all about was basically the Watcher had his eye stolen. And what the eye was able to do upon being stolen was for certain characters emit kind of these energy like visions to them, which showed them either things concealed from them, things that they had forgotten about, things just in general that maybe like was a truth that they were in denial about. So for example, for Thor, the thing that was learned about him caused him to be unworthy. And for Spider-Man, the thing that he learned was that when he was bitten by the radioactive spider, another person in his class was also bitten by that same spider. And that girl was Cindy Moon. Now, after Cindy Moon was bitten by the spider, unlike Peter Parker, she was taken by Ezekiel. And Ezekiel is a character, if you've been following Spider-Man in the comics, you know there's a whole storyline about the spider totems. And this is what leads into the Spider-Verse event and Spider-Geddon event in the comic books. But basically, all of these spider people are connected by this mystical spider totem, which, according to that, gives them their abilities. Now, being spider totems, they all have very unique energy signatures. And these energy signatures are specifically hunted by a totemic predator, a parasitic, kind of species of people called Morlun. The people as a group are called the Inheritors, but the main one that Spider-Man comes in contact with and conflict with is named Morlun. Now, someone who studied this stuff and also is a spider totem himself, but not a superhero, is a character named Ezekiel. So when Cindy is bitten, she has a special place, unlike Peter Parker, in the spider totem pantheon. So she will be more of an attraction for the Inheritors. So to protect her, protect the world, protect Peter Parker, protect himself, Ezekiel takes Cindy and puts her in a bunker, while at the same time training her to be ready. So if the day comes where she's released from the bunker, Morlun and the Inheritors are here, she won't be, naive and not know what to do. She'll be trained and she'll be able to respond accordingly. So she is basically in this bunker for 13 years before Peter Parker, who then learns of her existence from the whole original Sin event, goes and frees her. Now, after this point, Cindy Moon and Peter Parker get into a relationship. And it's explained that the reason why they are attracted to each other is because they were bitten by the same spider, and that's just a side effect. Now, once she's freed, it attracts Moreland, it attracts his brothers, his sisters, his mom, his dad, the rest of the inheritors. And that basically triggers what eventually becomes the Spider Verse event in the comics, and then later on the sequel event, which is Spider-Geddon. Now, in terms of Cindy Moon being Silk and her abilities and how it differs from Peter Parker, she is faster than Peter Parker. They say that she has more natural agility per se. Her reflexes are quicker. Her spider sense is also a lot more powerful. However, a weakness of it is that it's not fully in sync with time. So, for example, she will be alerted more specifically, like let's say a fight's about to begin, she will be alerted by her what she calls silk sense. For example, who the attacker will be towards her before the fight even begins. And also, as well, she'll be able to identify a threat from a farther range than Peter Parker could, and as well, just be able to use that to track Peter Parker and sense other spider totems, which Peter Parker can't do. However, like I said before, sometimes it's out of sync with time. So she may be feeling a threat from something that will happen a minute in the future, an hour from the future, or like let's say she walks by someone on the street, her spider sense goes off or her silk sense goes off, and a year from now, that might be someone who attacks her. So it's just like, that's the weakness of it versus Peter Parker, who is kind of just like in the moment, he gets like the spider tingle, so to speak, the spider sense, but sometimes it's rather ambiguous what the spider sense is even about. As well, she kind of on her fingertips, they can become claws in instances. And from that, she can actually generate organic webbing, which Peter Parker also cannot do. So those are the two main differences between the character in terms of their abilities and getting more into the actual news that Variety reported about the series. So basically, Sony Pictures Television is developing the series to be live action. No official platform for where it will be announced yet. According to the report, it looks like Sony is looking at Amazon as the platform, so Amazon Prime Video, home of, I think, Jack Ryan, The Boys, and I can't remember the other series. There's a few good series on Amazon. I don't really watch all of them besides The Boys for the most part, but I know they have a pretty stellar lineup, and they've been improving it greatly over time, at least in terms of the television aspect versus like the film. But if it's not officially on Amazon yet, I would love to see this thing on Netflix. I think Hulu is a little out of the question for obvious reasons since Disney owns a majority of Hulu. Disney Plus obviously isn't an option. HBO Max isn't an option for obvious reasons. So I feel like if it's between Amazon and Netflix, if I was Sony, I would go with Netflix. Since we've seen Sony productions in the past, like The Interview, for example, I think that was a Sony production. We've seen things go to Netflix. So it seems that they might already have a professional relationship that could be used in this situation. But Phil Lord, Chris Miller, like I said before, are executive producers alongside of former Sony Pictures Entertainment head Amy Pascal. So I'm really interested about this. They say this is potentially a part of the rich deal of productions that was signed between Sony Pictures and Phil Lord and Chris Miller. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they put their spin on this, because I think they did a great job so far on everything they're doing. But at the same time, it's reported that they are working in the early stages of, or as was before this became a Silk TV show, they're going to do a Silk movie. And now also they're talking about the fact that they're still planning on doing a Spider-Woman movie, which has been gaining traction recently because Olivia Wilde is attached to direct. But at the same time, they're going to make a Spider-Gwen movie, which will be a female-led spin-off of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which would feature a different take, an animated version of Silk, Spider-Gwen, and Spider-Woman, even though the Spider-Gwen will be the same one from the first Into the Spider-Verse. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. It'll also be interesting to see what they do just because this character has been played informally, I guess you would say, to a much lesser role by Tiffany Espenson in Spider-Man Homecoming. But of course, I mean, that was really just kind of like a side, more cameo-like role. It wasn't a major role like Peter Parker was. It wasn't a major role like Ned was. Nothing like that. So we'll see where they go with this. It'll be interesting to see how much of her Korean American heritage they embrace as well. Will they do the bunker thing in that storyline and her coming out of it? Will they not? I'm really curious to see what they do with it, especially like, will she be in a world with a Spider-Man? Or are they going to do a thing where there is no Peter Parker Spider-Man and the only spider hero ends up being Silk in this universe, which would also be interesting as well. But we'll see what happens. That's it for this segment. Thanks for watching this episode. I was flying solo, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. But let me know in the comments down below things I could change up when I'm doing this kind of thing solo, so I can make the best episodes for you guys as possible. But comment down below what topic was your favorite, and I'll see you guys later.